Hello everyone, you are on the channel. It's funny to tears, and today I have a story for you that proves life's most ridiculous moments often happen when you least expect them. It all started on what was supposed to be a completely normal Tuesday. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping, and I had a very important meeting to get to. I was dressed to the nines, sharp suit, crisp shirt, and my favorite pair of polished, very expensive, very uncomfortable leather shoes. Now, these weren't just any shoes. I'd saved up for them. They were the kind of shoes that make you feel like you can conquer the world, or at least survive a 3-hour budget presentation. The problem is they were a size just a tiny bit too big. But they were on sale, and I figured, I'll just wear thick socks. What could possibly go wrong? Famous last words, my friends. Famous last words. So, I'm power walking to the subway feeling like $1,000,000, briefcase in hand. I'm weaving through the morning crowd, a true urban warrior. As I get to the top of the subway stairs, the train is pulling in. Perfect timing. I start descending the stairs, picking up speed. 2 steps at a time, I'm practically flying. I'm feeling agile. I'm feeling graceful. I'm feeling like a secret agent on a mission. And that's when it happened. On my final, glorious leap to the platform, my left foot landed, but my left shoe did not. It decided it had other plans. It had a different destiny. My foot slipped right out, and the shoe, my beautiful, expensive, slightly too large shoe, continued its journey without me. It sailed through the air in a perfect, tragic arc, like a majestic leather eagle taking its final flight. It landed right on the edge of the platform, teetered for a heart-stopping second, and then, plonk. Down onto the tracks it went. I stood there, frozen. 1 foot shod, 1 foot in a sad, lonely sock. The train doors hissed open. People started pouring out, a river of commuters completely oblivious to my personal tragedy. They just streamed past this guy in a suit holding a briefcase, looking down at the tracks with an expression of pure disbelief, like he'd just seen a unicorn get hit by a bus. My train, the one I absolutely needed to catch for my super important meeting, was right there. Its doors were wide open, beckoning me, but my shoe. My poor orphan shoe was down there, lying on its side next to the grimy rail, looking up at me like a betrayed puppy. What do you do in this situation? Do you abandon your footwear comrade? Do you sacrifice the shoe for the meeting? Or do you risk it all for leather? My mind was racing. I could see the headlines. Man in suit loses everything for a loafer. I made a split-second decision. The meeting can wait. No shoe gets left behind. I started looking around frantically for a station attendant. Anyone. "Excuse me," I yelled, waving my sock foot for emphasis, which probably just made me look even crazier. "My shoe, it fell." A lady with a stroller gave me a wide berth. A teenager laughed and pointed. I was no longer an urban warrior. I was the platform jester. Finally, a transit worker in a bright yellow vest saw my desperate flailing. He ambled over, looking thoroughly unimpressed. "Lost something?" he asked, with the calm demeanor of a man who has seen it all, including apparently a grown man in a business suit having a public meltdown over a shoe. "My shoe!" I squeaked, pointing dramatically at the tracks. "It's down there, it's Italian." I have no idea why I added that last part, as if its nationality would inspire a more heroic rescue effort. He peered over the edge. "Yep, that's a shoe, all right. Thank you, Captain Obvious." He sighed, the kind of sigh that carries the weight of 1,000 lost hats, gloves, and phones. "All right, stand back, I'll get the grabber." The grabber? My hopes soared. I imagined some high-tech robotic arm, a marvel of modern engineering. What he returned with was basically a long pole with a claw on the end, the kind you use to pick up litter. My shoe's rescue was going to be performed with a giant trash picker. The dignity of the moment was rapidly evaporating. He leaned over the platform edge, skillfully maneuvering the claw. The tension was unbearable. It was like watching a bomb disposal expert, but for footwear. The small crowd that had now gathered was fully invested. They were giving advice. "A little to the left." "No, the other left. Grab it by the heel." It was a team effort. We were all in this together. He finally got a grip. The claw closed around the middle of my precious shoe. He started to lift. Slowly, slowly, my shoe began its ascent, rising from the underworld like a leather phoenix. It was almost there. It was inches from the platform. And then, the claw slipped. The shoe tumbled back down, landing with a sad little thud. A collective groan went through the crowd. We had lost it. The disappointment was palpable. The transit worker, to his credit, didn't give up. He was a professional. He went in for a second attempt. This time, he was more careful. He adjusted his grip. He took a deep breath. The crowd held its breath with him. Up it came again, this time more securely. It cleared the platform edge. He had it. He swung it over and dropped it at my feet. A small cheer erupted from my fellow commuters. It was a victory for humanity. I snatched it up, my heart swelling with gratitude. It was a little dusty, a little scuffed, but it was mine. I thanked the worker profusely. He just nodded, gave me a look that said, "Just another Tuesday," and walked away to deal with the next urban crisis. I looked at my watch. I had completely missed my train. And the next one. My very important meeting was starting in 5 minutes, and I was still on a subway platform, holding a dirty shoe. I quickly put it back on, my sock now covered in platform grime. I looked down. One pristine, polished shoe and one that looked like it had survived an apocalypse. My sharp suit suddenly looked ridiculous. I ended up being 30 minutes late for the meeting. I limped in, trying to hide my scuffed-up foot under the table. When my boss asked why I was late, I didn't have the heart to tell him the epic saga. I just mumbled something about unforeseen transportation issues. If only he knew the battle I had fought and won. So the moral of the story is this: never ever buy shoes that are slightly too big, no matter how good the sale is. And if you ever see a guy in a sock on a subway platform, don't just laugh. Offer him some encouragement. He might be in the middle of his own heroic quest. It's these ridiculous, unexpected moments that make life truly unforgettable. I didn't conquer the world that day, but I did rescue my shoe, and honestly, that felt like a pretty big win. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today on It's Funny to Tears. If you enjoyed this tale of footwear tragedy and triumph, do me a favor and hit that like button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next story. See you in the next one.